Wow. Hello, everyone. This is Azeeza Jalaludeen, co-founder for Shine, Academia de Edificatio, and we are so excited once again to be on this call on Love Women, and women spelled W-O capital M-E-N. This is an amazing week of a weekly series that I have put together with my dearest soul sister, Alejendrah. Yay! Alejendrah. She and I have been in these conversations about our work, about our life, about women, and how we can empower ourselves as a human being. So remember, it's not just for ladies, but also the men, women. And today we're going to be talking on this topic of emotions, controlling emotions. Can we really do it? Let's check it out. Sister.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Aziza. And it's great to be here again on another hangout. And as we have committed to have these regular hangouts once a week, and it's just getting better and better. And I can't wait to get started because today's topic is one of my passions. I love to talk about emotions and feelings, and it's part of my profession. And one thing that has brought to my awareness through training actually is that emotions are something that rather than controlling them, there is a better way to deal with them, which is actually mastering the emotion rather than controlling them. Because you take a look at the word, it's written motion. Literally it's energy in motion. So when you have an emotion, it's something that has to move through you. So it's going through a tunnel, it goes in, it passes, and it comes out. So when you are doing your best to control the emotion, instead of letting it pass through, you can create actually blockages that can lead to disturbances in your physical well-being. How about that, Aziza?
I was about to ask you to explain about emotion, and we actually spoke about some, before the call started. We were speaking about feelings and emotions, and being a hypnotherapist who's been working with so many people, I'm sure you have this thought around. You have come across people who are talking about feelings and talking about emotions. You want to share some lights about that? I think that would be very powerful for people to know.
Thank you. Yes, there is a distinction between emotions and feelings. So you can think of an emotion as the preliminary state to a feeling. So the emotion is experienced at the subconscious level, and the feeling is experienced at the body consciousness level or the unconscious mind level. So it's not the same thing. But a lot of people think that it's the same thing, but it's not. And myself, until I was trained as a hypnotherapist and also as an instructor for self-hypnosis, I quite didn't have I couldn't grasp the difference between an emotion and a feeling. Now, the emotion is generated at the subconscious level of your mind based on your database of information. So that database of information is all the information that you have collected in your subconscious mind since you were in your mother's womb. Not even once you're born, but it's actually before. And I will not go so much in detail about this. We can have another call and I can explain more in detail about this. But just for you to understand is that in your subconscious mind, you have this humongous library of information, okay? And you can think of every event in your life as a book, okay, where all these things have been recorded. Now, when you have an external input, a trigger, you will have your emotions to help you process that trigger, and then it will make you generate a feeling. So that feeling lets you know that something is happening. so then you can respond to that. And feelings are like the lights on the dashboard in your car, right? So how do you know that you need to change the oil in your car? What will happen? A light will come out that lets you know that, hey, it's time for you to change the oil, right? And if you're running low on gas, that there is another light that will show up and let you know that you have to fill up the tank, otherwise your car will just not run, right? So feelings are that. It's a feedback mechanism that is letting you know that something's happening. Now, when we are not aware of how feelings, how emotions work, we tend to think that we can control, and we tend to want to suppress it in order to manage it. But the problem is that when you are suppressing all these feelings and all these emotions, what you're doing is you're not allowing the natural flow of the emotion and that feeling to be completed with you. And that causes problems. And actually, I'm going to share with you a video, a really, really good video that was shared on Facebook actually very recently. And I want you to listen to this because it's very relevant. Okay, just give me a second so I can get this set. And after I share this, you will let me know what you think.
Well, do you know what's in your drinking water? A shocking Associated Press investigation found various pharmaceuticals in the drinking supplies of at least 41 million Americans. Tainted water was found from New Jersey to California. NBC's Tom Costello is following the story from Washington. Tom, I've been dying to ask somebody some questions about this story. First of all, what kinds of drugs are we talking about, and how dangerous is this?
Pretty wide range. Here's the drinking water in Washington, D.C. They found 6 pharmaceuticals in our drinking water here. They include ibuprofen, caffeine, monosine, and about 3 or 4 others. In Philadelphia, they had 56 pharmaceuticals or byproducts. They range everything from epilepsy medication to mental health medicines to pharmaceuticals that really run the gamut. Here's the bottom line from the Associated Press on the study they did. It was, as you mentioned, a 5-month investigation involving the AP investigative team. 50 major cities in 50 states were looked at, and drugs were found in the water of 24 major cities. We're talking 41 million Americans here who drink that water. So what's in the water? Everything from acetaminophen and ibuprofen to mood stabilizers, antibiotics, angina, heart, as well as cholesterol drugs, and even sex hormones. The trouble here, Meek, is that the federal government does not test specifically for pharmaceuticals in the water. And in fact, there is no way to scrub water that is in a treatment plant for pharmaceuticals. And so now we have a situation where states and cities across the country are just starting to realize that there are the remnants of pharmaceuticals in the drinking water. All of that said, we should emphasize, we're talking here about parts per billion or trillion, really minute traces of pharmaceuticals that are in the water. And you say, well, how did it get there? Well, without getting too graphic, all of us who take medication for one thing or another, we don't absorb all of it. It is excreted. It gets into the sewage system, into the water treatment plants. And then, because water treatment plants can't scrub it all out, if any of it, it just kind of dilutes on into the water system. Sometimes it gets into the water table, into wildlife, and then into reservoirs. It goes back into the water treatment site, into the water treatment plants.
I wonder if there's going to be, long-term study about effects of this down the road. And but I guess initially, Tom, the question I'm sure you're asking today is there anything the government can do about this?
Yeah, the EPA says it's concerned about it, but we don't yet know, and water treatment utility plants say they are convinced that there is no immediate threat to anybody out there. That said, I did a story about 4 years ago in which we found a river in Colorado, and now we know there are many rivers, in which the fish were turning from male to female. And the reason was because there was too much estrogen in the water. The natural female hormone was literally turning male fish into female fish, and the thinking was that this is a canary in a coal mine. So now the question is, what's the impact on humans?
Yeah, that's the next one. Tom Costello on this story from Washington. Thank you very much.
So there you go. So that actually the reason why I'm sharing.
Actually, I was asking you, right? Why are we showing this video? I mean, we are actually speaking about water that is having a lot of chemicals from medicines in it. I mean, in layman term, that's what it is. Pharmaceutical and all of that is actually medicine particles that is not absorbed into the body, or even when it's absorbed or whatever, is being excreted out and not being able to be cleansed or processed before it's drunk, right? They are able to clean the water for to become drinkable, but there are traces of medical things. And this is happening because of the high intake of medicines in our body in today's world. So this is a very, very interesting angle, sister. I mean, we're talking about people being affected by the amount of medicine we take. There's so much of psychological thoughts around eating the medicine because the doctor says so. So we're not hitting at the doctor for anything. It's really about what we want to say. I mean, speak about when it comes to suppressions or any kind of emotions that being suppressed. So I would love to hear from you on this. Please share some more.
Okay, thank you. So the reason why I share this video with you guys is so that you have an idea of the impact that not knowing actually what to do with the emotion, with the feeling, has not just on the environment, but actually on yourself and other people, because what goes around comes around, right? And as you hear, and please actually find information about this and do your own research, okay? Don't take our word for granted, okay? Do your own research and find out. And the thing is that there are a lot of drugs that people are consuming to moderate and to normalize their moods. Lots of people, okay? So if you're talking about drugs that are taken for depression,
yeah,
and anxiety.
Yeah, in Singapore, it's one of the highest issue coming up with depression. A lot of people are being affected by.
That's right. And it's not just because this video actually comes from the United States, but this problem is not just in the States, it's also happening elsewhere in the world. So if we are thinking about what are we doing with ourselves and how are we managing ourselves, we really got to think about these things. Because if you're thinking about the future of the waters and the environment that we are living for our children and our grandchildren, our future generations, we really have to look at what is causing the problem. Because all these drugs that are taken, there is a need at a certain point in time, because there are people who really need the drug in order to calm them down because they have gone too far down the lane, okay? Now, if you are one of those people who, you know, it's depressed or it feels anxious, don't wait until you go too far down the road with this issue. You got to find effective ways to solve it before it gets too big. Okay, so then I highly recommend you to work with a hypnotherapist or someone who can work with you at the subconscious level of the mind, because the root cause of the problem is at the subconscious level. So if you are taking medications, okay, it's like dealing with the branches of the tree rather than dealing with the roots of the tree. And this is an example that I give to, you know, my clients and my students. Say, okay, so if you have a seed, okay, and it's an apple tree seed and you plant it, will this apple seed give you a pear? No, it's gonna give you apples, all right? So if you want to have pears, you have to get rid of that root, or you have to just eliminate that tree and then plant a new tree that will give you pears. Okay, so you got to deal with the root cause. On the next couple of hangouts, we're going to talk specifically about how to master anger, how to master fear, sadness, etc. Because there are ways that you can actually become masterful at dealing with your feelings, with your emotions, so you don't have to bottle up, you don't have to suppress, you don't have to control them. And you can definitely be much freer, much more effective. You can have more energy for yourself. You can do more things because you're not burdened with those feelings and those emotions. Now, going back to feelings, how do you know that you, for example, you feel happy? How does your body feel? For you, Azeeza, how do you feel? Or how do you know that you're feeling happy? Just give me one word. Just describe it. What happens with your body?
Oh, wait, just a moment. I did something. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So what happens to me when I'm feeling happy? I get all smiley.
Okay, so you smile. So that's a physical response.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my face kind of, and then I have my heart will be a little bit faster, beating faster, and I
Yeah.
think I will be just feeling very much elate. I mean, like my body will be reacting in a upbeat mode, like probably
Okay,
like feeling the gush of energy.
good. Okay, hold on there. And also for you who are watching this video, I want you to answer these questions as I'm asking the question, because the question is not just for Azeeza, it's for anyone watching this video. Okay.
That's
Now,
right.
how do you know that you feel angry? What happens with your body? How does your body let you know that you're feeling angry? Now, Azeeza, you tell me.
Angry again. Yeah. So then again, I will be my heart, my breathing kind of gets deeper. I mean, like slower. Kind of like
Yeah.
sometimes you even I hold my breath, and then okay, what else? I can't think.
It's all
Yeah,
right.
that's the main thing. You know, you kind of become. What else happens to my body? It's been a
Mm,
while since I went through that. Okay, so yeah, mainly it's my breathing gets shallower, like
yeah.
not. Yeah, that's the main thing.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, for example, for me, when I'm feeling happy, I know that I feel lighter. My body just tends to, to move, and I feel this really nice feeling in my chest, in my heart.
Mhm,
Right? Now, when I feel
mhm.
the way that I know that I'm feeling angry, I know that I'm feeling angry because my head literally gets hot. Okay,
Mm,
my heart starts
okay.
palpitating really fast. So you see,
Mm,
feelings are there to let you know that something's going on with you, so then you can take action. So your
yeah,
feelings are a call for action. The
yeah.
emotion is what happens just before that. Okay. So,
Okay.
and as I mentioned earlier, it has to do with the programming that you have received during your early years. So, for
Mm,
example, let's take, for example, anger. All right. The emotion behind anger, okay, is that something is not fair. And it could be that something is not fair that it has done to you or to someone that you care about. That's anger. Okay. So then you feel angry, and the call for action for anger is to make it right, to make
yeah.
corrections,
I think
to make it clear.
anger, frustration, upsets, they all fall under the same category. So it's not, and it also includes not being able to meet expectations. Like our expectations have not been met. So we get angry, we get frustrated, all of that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's right. So say, let's just take the example of anger. So then if you're feeling angry, okay, rather than taking, some form of medication to calm down your heart, okay, or exploding like a volcano, which is not really advisable because you can hurt yourself, you can hurt other people, right? You can do something which is different. And the first thing that you do is, okay, do a reality check. How real is that anger? The second thing that you do is, okay, then you ask, okay, so how responsible I am on this anger. because it takes two to tango. In any situation, it's not just the other person, it's also you because you participated, right? So then you take your part, okay? And the way that we teach this in the Banyan Hypnosis School, which I'm part of, is we call it the anger pie. We start dividing the pie. And so then you will see there, okay, so how responsible you are for that part of the anger, okay? And then the last step for anger is forgiveness, because forgiveness is to set you free from the painful feelings that you have experienced, all right? So anger, there's two types of anger. It's one that is directed outwards, when you feel and perceive that something has been done wrong to you, okay? It comes from another person. And then guilt is the other side of anger, which is actually anger directed towards yourself, that you feel that you have done something wrong, and then you feel angry towards yourself, okay? So then we will talk more about anger and then how we can master anger.
There was a few years back, there was some write-ups on the Times magazine where they talked about anger as being the reason, the number one reason for cancer. That is a very scary, result of how anger, what can anger cause in our body? Cancer cells being caused because of anger.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that. I will share one of the cases that I took care of in my clinical practice in Singapore, and just for the sake of privacy, I will not share the name of my ex-client, right? But I will just call her Susie, okay? So Susie came to my clinic, to my practice, referred by another client of mine. And the first thing that I noticed was that she had a belly, and I thought that she was pregnant, but she was not pregnant. So then I talked to Susie, and then I said, okay, so what can I do for you? And then she says to me, well, I have been diagnosed with a cyst. And the cyst was in front of her womb. And I mean, it was quite big for it to be a cyst, right? And I said, okay, tell me more. And then she starts sharing that, the doctors wanted to operate her, but she didn't want to get operated. And then immediately I felt, okay, this is not something that is just is physical. It's actually something that is way deeper and bigger. And I suggested that, okay, let's begin doing a combination of cellular memory release with physical treatments. And then we started doing that. And then once we built enough rapport, then I suggested to her to do hypnosis. So then we can start getting in touch with her body consciousness. So then she can learn about what's going on with her body, and then she can help her body. Okay. So she said yes. And then we started working, doing hypnosis to get in touch with her body consciousness. In the first session of hypnosis, then I went straight into talking to the so-called cyst, because hypnosis is a beautiful and powerful tool that can get you to get in touch with the information that is stored in your subconscious mind. That's why hypnosis is useful, is to access that information. Because at the conscious level, okay, when you're, like this, you can't access that. Okay, in another video, in another hangout, I will explain how that works, okay? And it makes total sense. Anyway, going back to Susie. So so I was talking to the cyst, okay, and then it's like having a conversation with another person, okay? And then the first thing I said is, okay, hello, cyst, how are you today? And the first thing that came out of her mouth was, I am not a cyst, I am a tumor. And then he said to my client, to Susie, and you have to let me out, because I can't control my growth anymore. And if you don't take me out, I'm just going to spread through your whole body. and I don't want to kill you. And then I was like, okay. So, and this is the interesting thing. And the tumor, because then, you know, it was always not a cyst, it's a tumor. So. And then the tumor said, even though you're not eating much, I'm still growing and I can't stop my growth. And the interesting thing is that I got her to do a cleanse and she was on juice fasting. Right? And she wasn't eating much. Now, long story, cut it short. So I learned through that session that actually the tumor started in her body 10 years before she came to my clinic. And she was diagnosed with this so-called cyst 2 years before she came to my clinic. And then I asked the tumor, okay, so how come you came to her body? And then the tumor said, oh, well, I came to her because she does the same thing that I don't like. And I said, okay, so what is it that she does that you don't like? Well, she gets angry and bottles up. She gets sad and I eat it. And that was the word that this tumor used. I eat it. So then the body, her body, in order to protect her from these, from the emotions that she was experiencing, from the feeling that she was experiencing, the cells started to group up and then started to collect that energy in that area. And that's how that tumor started. And then said to her, you have to let me out. You have to get me out of your body. Otherwise, I will hurt you. And I don't want to do that because I love you. So basically, what the body does is actually it has its own defensive mechanism. And there is a point when, and I have seen this over and over, not just in Susie, but in many clients that I have worked with. So the body will respond by creating something in order to store that energy. It's the same thing that happens when people are toxic. So the more toxins you have running in your body, the bigger you will become. And this is what people call fat, because your body, in order to protect itself, it will generate fat cells to trap the toxins and keep them there. So those toxins don't harm your internal organs. It's interesting and fascinating, isn't it? Right? So the body has its own ways to protect itself, but only can protect itself up to a certain level. That's why it's important to have healthy practices, you know? And we will talk about that on another hangout, okay? Going back to Susie and her tumor. So after that first session, okay, and she emerged and she was just blown away because she will never thought that something like that will come out of her mouth. And after that session, then she decided to go for the operation. And then we prepare her body with hypnosis for the operation. And then it was just remarkable because I was alternating the physical treatment and the hypnosis treatment with her. So say that her operation was scheduled for a Friday. She came to me on a Wednesday for the last hypnosis session, and then came on a Thursday for the physical treatment. So then we can actually soften the muscles and there's, you know, good circulation, all of that. So when she, on the Wednesday, on that session, I asked the tumor to gather itself in one place. And I said, okay, tumor, I know that you care for her, you love her, you're there to protect her, and you will be set free very soon. On Friday, Dr. So-and-so at this time will cut the belly this way, and you will come out, and you will become the butterfly. You know, it's just a metaphor. And then I said, please gather every single cell of yours in one place so to make it easier for the doctors to take you out. Can you do that? And the tumor said, yes, I will. She comes on Thursday, the next day, with this pointy thing in her belly. And she said to me, during the night, the tumor was moving. because that tumor was spread through, let's say, sideways on her belly, and then it turned like a pointy egg forward. And then she was operated on the Friday. The operation was scheduled for 5 hours, and it took only less than 3 hours for the doctor to clear it, because it was all compact. It was easier to get it out. I don't know if you're aware, but I say, and when doctors operate on cancer, on tumors, it's very likely actually that the big tumor is there, but there are ramifications that they have to clear. So in Susie's case, because we worked together with her body, we managed to get the tumor to gather itself, and then it was easier to get it out, right? So then after that, the biopsy actually showed that it was a stage 1 cancer. And the doctor said to her, "You're very lucky that you came today for your operation, because if you didn't, even though it was stage 1, because of the size, it was 36 cm tumor, very big." Yeah, very big. So then he said, because of the size, it was actually literally about to just to explode, well, spread out through your body, and then you will not be here. Now, the why this woman got that tumor in front of her womb, just to give you some background. This woman came to me when she was 43 years old. Okay, Chinese woman, came from very traditional family in Singapore. And this family had this practice where the last daughter of the family was literally bound to the parents until both parents died, to take care of them. So until then, she was not allowed to have a boyfriend, to ever get married, and ever have her own family. Now, that explains also why, because there is this innate yearning in a woman to have a child. And no wonder that tumor actually grew in front of her womb. So can you imagine, if your parents told you, you're not allowed to have a life, and you're gonna look after me until the day I die? Crazy, right? And that's what happened to Susie. No, I mean, it is not.
I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing it, that such a principle. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
This is the first time I'm hearing
I
it.
mean, when I met her, that was also the first time for me to ever hear something like that. But it's a very ancient tradition practiced in China. And this family, Chinese family, moved to Singapore, and they carry it out. There you go. So it is really very amazing to see the effects that those emotions, those feelings, when they're not properly dealt with, have on the physical body. So, and again, I said, it's not about controlling your emotions. It's not about controlling your feelings, rather than controlling, because if you want to control a feeling or an emotion, it's like trying your best, doing your best to submerge a beach ball in the water. And just think about all the energy that you have to put in order to keep that ball that has to, that naturally will just come to the surface, to keep on pushing it down and pushing it down and pushing it down. Through my practice, I have come across so many people doing that because they didn't know what else to do. And that's usually the issue, that people just don't know how to work with this. But that's going to change. I'm going to start giving you some tips, and you can ask me questions about that, because you don't have to live that way. There is a way out. Good.
Actually, when you look at that, it'd be wonderful if we can share some tools that we can use for instant, like support. I think that will be very powerful, because we are looking at a time where, you know, we are here once a week and have that questions answered. But a lot of people would like to have, like, you know, DIY stuffs. I think that is very important for us to give some thoughts around that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you can
so
send
if
me.
there is something that, yeah, go on.
Yeah, you can send me an email. You can see my email just down there in the bottom, alendrah@gmail.com. Ask me questions, and I can also link to places. And I also teach online. I teach self-hypnosis, which is a very powerful tool that you can use anytime, whenever you want to, need to. And at least that really working with your internal issues that you can actually effectively solve, instead of just letting them be there, bothering you, stressing you. And yeah, you have the choice to create more freedom, more joy in your life, to love yourself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the techniques that, you know, I use is a lot in terms of not just about releasing, but also affirming of self-love. I think that's been a topic we have been speaking a lot. Self-love, and, you know, being, you know, this reset button thing that I love to do, and it's been very, very effective, is like, over here, you tap on your collarbone and you say, I completely and unconditionally love and accept myself.
Yeah.
That's like, just
Yeah.
like that. You can just breathe out. I mean, in order for us to hold back emotions, sometimes is just, I mean, you gave that simple example of a beach ball. I mean, like, so tiring. And also, while we are releasing, a lot of people think that it's just about screaming and shouting and getting over it. I feel
No.
like, you know, sometimes we are also so good or so nice that it looks like we are just brushing it under the carpet and just putting it one side. It's like,
Yeah.
I will handle it later or when it comes up,
And
which
it
is
doesn't
really,
work.
really detrimental for health.
Yeah.
Go on.
And that doesn't work, you know, like putting it under the carpet. It doesn't work, because the thing is that it's in your subconscious mind. You cannot run away from your subconscious mind. You cannot run away from what's installed in your subconscious mind, right? So if you're telling yourself, oh, I already forgot about that, there is no such a thing as forgetting, okay? Because the information is there. Now, something that you want to know is that there are two types of stress. So listen carefully. One is the external stress, is everything that comes outside of you, all right? And there is internal stress. And do you know actually how you get affected by external stress? Do you have any idea, Azeeza? Or you listening, do you have any idea? Do you want to know? Yes? All right. Okay, I give it to you. The way that you are actually responding, reacting to the external stress is because of the fact that you have internal stress. That internal stress is what makes you resonate with the external stress. And I'm going to say it again. Your internal stress, and the internal stress is based on all the data, all the information that you have been collecting over the years. It makes you resonate with the external stress. So the key here for you to not be stressed out and not be affected by what's going on the external world is to, instead of wanting to eliminate the external stress, is to actually eliminate the internal stress. That's why you do your inner work. You work with your emotions, so then those feelings don't need to come out. Cool, right? Yes. So one of the techniques that that I teach, and also other people teach, is called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. But this technique, and I can say this because I teach other techniques. EFT works well to calm down, okay, those emotions, those feelings, but will not effectively, in some cases, deal with the root cause of the problem. So for me personally for me, EFT is more like taking a Panadol when you have this terrible headache and you need a quick fix. Then you go in and do your EFT. But if you're looking at really dissolving a root that has been so embedded in you for so long, then you really got to work with a professional. Okay, and I highly recommend you a 5-path hypnotherapist. It's spelled number 5/PATH, 5-path. Okay, and so you can work systematically through the issue to complete resolution, so you don't get things halfway done. Okay, and you can ask me questions. Just send me an email. I can send you information about that. But there are ways that you can work with. Another good releasing technique is breath works.
Yes, that is my favorite.
Yeah.
Something that I've worked on with like a lot of deep work. I mean, like I've never done that deep work in anywhere else. You know, every time I go to assist in a breathwork session, it just reinforces the kind of deep work that one can do to oneself, you know, to get to the core of the beingness. And I found it to be very effective, and I'm looking forward to, you know, and people think that like you do once and you think that it's all over. That is the other side of the coin, right? When people think that you've done it and it's like, oh, that issue, I've kind of worked on that already. But I have recognized that there's many layers to it where,
Yep.
you know, it comes at one point and then it goes deeper to get to like, you know, all the weeds and everything else. So it's like really cleansing out. And sister, one of the things that really works for me in this recent months as we work on ourselves is Ho'oponopono. I tell you, it's like, oh my God. It's like just surrender. It's a surrendering technique that is so powerful. It's just like getting out of your way. Rather than thinking about what's happening, why am I feeling this way and that way, and the emotions around it. And when we do the I love you, please forgive me, thank you, you know, sorry, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. These words, I'm like, oh my God, it's all about self, and you just go into yourself and you're like, yes, you're anything else, and you know that nothing is in the control of our beingness. So that's one of the most powerful recent work, and you know, DC speaks a lot about it in her Facebook posts and everything. So that's a very, very powerful tool for me right now too.
Yeah. Then also another.
Do write to us. Yeah, do write to us so that we can. Alejendrah has been doing amazing work with a lot of clients, and she is like in New Zealand, but supporting people all around the world. I think that's an amazing work to do.
Yeah. Now, the other technique also that I highly recommend is actually Vipassana silent meditation. It's not for everybody, but if you're up for that, go ahead and look into that. Now, something that I want you to know is that you have to find for yourself what works best for you. And I will say to you, remain open and receptive, and just as long as you hold the intention to really overcome any form of challenges, and I'm talking about your internal challenges, your the internal stress, you know, whatever is causing you to feel, you know, angry, sad, depressed, anxious, you name it, or even addicted, you know. It could be addiction to anything. And in a previous hangout, I mentioned that one of the most subtle addiction, and perhaps the most challenging actually to know whether you're addicted to it or not, is the addiction to pain. It's the addiction to the chemicals that we release when we experience the pain. Okay, so be open to explore, because every human being on this plane has come with purpose. Okay, you have something important to fulfill in your life, and if you are caught up in your emotions, your feelings, and all this internal stress, and you are just not really free to be who you are and fulfill your purpose, it's a sad thing, actually. And you don't need to live like that. There is freedom. There is so much beauty in life, you know, and don't be discouraged by perhaps, you know, encountering the same challenge again and again. So be it. So what? You know, just take it from wherever you are and just take the steps that you need to take in order to transform it. And as I mentioned to you before, transformation perhaps doesn't happen over time. I mean, sorry. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. That's what I wanted to say. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. But transformation is a result of consistent change. Consistent change leads you to transformation. So please keep going. Keep going, keep going. And we will share more on another hangout because we are actually coming to the end of this call today, and really happy to be here with you.
Yes, and what do you have any questions that anybody asked?
Well, I have answered them through the call. So
okay, I want to ask you. I want to feedback on a question. Right, this situation that happened a couple of days ago,
yep.
And I was looking at it from two perspectives. Okay, so with all that thoughts with me, I had a call with one of my clients, and literally I was on the phone and she was screaming.
All right.
There was some upset feeling. She was screaming and screaming and screaming, and I was like, "Okay, sis, you don't have to scream. Can we speak like, don't get angry. Why are you screaming?" I was like, and at one point I was thinking, "Am I being very nice?" Right? On the other side, to me, it was like, I don't have to. She's like just wanting to test me, like pushing my button to see if I would pop. So I felt both ways. So I would like to know, I mean, from a third party perspective, what is it like when somebody's screaming at you and doing the work that we have done, I know for a fact that if I'm going to scream, it's not going to get any resolution out of the whole thing.
Yep.
But it was not going anywhere. So what would you feel would have been what would you have done? Maybe that would be a question that you can answer today. What would you have done?
Yeah. All right. So understanding that if a person is angry, okay, you need to understand that you have been a trigger. However, you cannot make anyone, and I repeat, anyone, feel in any way that that person has not been programmed to feel previously. I will repeat again. You cannot make anyone feel in any way. You are only a trigger to what that person already has been programmed to feel and also to respond in a certain way. So if you are encountering someone who is angry, apparently at you, okay, remain calm, don't react, and just choose to respond the best way possible. Now, if this person is coming to you with anger and giving you some feedback, don't take it personally, but just listen, okay? There might be some truth in it for you to listen and for you to take as feedback. Now, if you are honest, okay, and you recognize that you have contributed towards that anger, okay, do whatever you need to do. Maybe you need to apologize, you need to, make amendments, whatever it is, do it, but do not take it personally. Because most of that anger that person is coming to you, it has little to do with you. It has to do perhaps some percentage, but not the whole thing. Okay, so by taking this position and having that understanding, you will not be dragged into drama and anger. You remain calm. You detach. Okay, you detach and you observe, acknowledge the person for whatever that person is sharing with you, because that's the person's truth. And in that person's mind, you know, perhaps the person is right. Let it be so. Okay, it doesn't have to be your reality. However, don't be arrogant in saying, oh no, that's your anger, that's your problem, I got nothing to do with this. Yeah. Just,
yeah, that's moving away from, yeah, responsibility.
yes, just be responsible for whatever you're responsible.
Yeah.
And at the same
And
time,
actually,
don't take,
sorry, go on.
at the same time, don't take on what is not yours. Okay, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes, definitely it does. Because if you notice, there's, you know, always these situations where people, when they react sometimes, and I think we have gone through, you know, in ITP, in our instructors training program, and all of the, you know, self-development people that we work with, we have actually seen a lot of different phases, different situations. And when we put ourselves through self-development work, we actually come across such situations to test us. And one of the things I've recognized, and it's a very interesting pattern, I'm not sure whether you resonate with that, the pattern that someone or any situation somebody create, and they want to just scream at you. And sometimes we need to be empathetic towards them, because like what you say, we are not the reason for them. I mean, we may or may not be the reason for their anger, but we just happen to be there at the time to trigger them, right? And also the fact that sometimes they do not have a place to vent it, and we happen to be there to get it out of their system. I think that has also been a space that sometimes we tend to be put in. I think that has been something that we can become conscious about, that when people get angry with us, it's not only about us, it's not about taking personal. At the same time, not to be arrogant that it's nothing to do with us. I mean, we need to take responsibility for what went wrong in that conversation, and also to be conscious that we do not allow that person's venting. We don't take in the energy in that sense, you know, because it could have been anybody else. It could have been anybody else that person wanted to vent his stuff on, and we just happen to be the trigger. I think that was a huge thought for me, because I want to share this, because a lot of people have this tendency to scream and get angry with people for whatever reasons. So from that perspective, like I have done screaming. I've screamed, you know, I have got very angry before. And at the same time, when you look at it, it's like sometimes we get angry with the people, whoever it is, at the expense of, actually it was somebody else. The anger was supposed to be on somebody else, but because we felt we cannot vent it on that person for the status space, or maybe they are bigger authority in our mind, they are higher authority, so we cannot show them the anger, so we vent it on people so-called the weaker one, or at least we feel they are the weaker one, so we can show control and power over that person. So we want to vent the anger on them, like show our anger to them. Do you resonate with that? That happens, right? That happens to people, right?
Yeah, that happens. And also at the same time, I will say to you, not because you're in the presence of a person who is angry and is venting at you, you have to be a doormat, because you got to respect yourself. Now, if so happens that this person is just blurbing and it's just not going to be rational with you, visualize yourself surrounded with golden light, and you can actually see yourself inside a golden egg, because anger is a very powerful energy, and that affects actually your energy field, and you don't need to take on that. Okay, it's like somebody throwing rubbish at you, literally. Okay, and you don't deserve that. but then just remain calm, as I said before. And then once the person has calmed down, then talk to the person and then just sort it out. Yeah, that's what I'll say. And then we're coming to the end of the call. Now, thank you.
About an hour.
And thank you for watching, and also not just watching, but I want you to interact with us and just ask yourself those questions. Whatever you have captured as a message from these hangouts, ask yourself a question: how am I doing this in my life? How does this apply? How does it relate in my life? Because this is for you. The reason why Azeeza and myself are doing these hangouts is actually for us to be at service. We have gone through certain experiences. We have gone through a lot of training, both of us, and we have gained certain insights from those experiences, certain wisdoms that we can share with you. So this is for you to make full use and take advantage of, you know, so that you can develop yourself, you can take yourself to your next level, the next level, whatever that is, and create more freedom in your life to love yourself more. So we love to hear from you, and thank you for really taking the time to go through these hangouts in its entirety. Yes, so that will be it from me, and I'll say
Yes.
see you later. Have a
See you
great week,
later.
and I'll see you Tuesday. Thank you,
Yes,
Azeeza.
and
It's been wonderful.
thank you, thank you. What we really want to achieve from these videos are to get you into your heart. Every time you listen to what we are speaking, I want you to know that we are normal people who have gone through all the stuff that we are sharing about. So it's not like some stories we've taken out of some pictures. So we are human beings who are walking the human journey in a, you know, we call it the spiritual journey in a human body. And this is something that we want to have our friends, everybody who's watching this, I want you to keep asking yourself that we are put in this world, like what Alejendrah said, for a purpose. And if you are in that journey, and if you are watching our videos, I want you to know that you are ready for your purpose. It's open to you, or you are already living your purpose, and it's about you getting stronger at it. Anything that is petty, anything that's small, anything that you feel like, you know, it's just disturbing you, especially around emotions, is about getting bigger than that, so that you can live a bigger life, a bigger, fulfilling life that is full of love, peace, and prosperity. So you deserve it, and we are so happy that we are able to deliver these calls, these sessions to you, and we look forward to hearing from you. You can write to Alejendrah, and you can write to us and connect with us on Facebook. You can connect with Alejendrah. You have her name under Alejendrah East, right? K East. Again, you can also connect with me under Facebook with Alignment Coach. Under that name, you'll be able to find me, and we are so looking forward to serve you. And it's a really blessed journey that we are able to go with you. Thank you so much, and have an awesome week. We'll catch up again next week, Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
See ya.